So playing with this one again. One of the issues I had with it, or I mentioned in my previous video, was that the string height was really high here at the nut. And it is a tactile feel kind of thing. When I was playing by myself, couldn't really, it sounded okay. But when I play with my band and I played with another guitar that is in tune, this thing sounded like crap. It was out of tune. The D string, or sorry, when you're playing a D chord, open D or an open A chord, so that's up here, playing up here, it's just out of tune. It sounded like crap. When you're doing a bar chord down here, it sounds fine because everything's there. Maybe the intonation's not quite right, but the nut on this thing here is way too high, and what we're going to do here is change it. I bought a brass nut adjustable. You can see that here. There's what appears to be a shim. So what this is it's got adjustable pegs in here where you can turn these up and raise or lower the strings. So when I look at it, if I put it to the height, compare it, it's going to be lower. So, but what you don't want is it's so low it's on the frets, and then you get fret buzzing, or just plain frets out. You don't get any sound. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to loosen the strings off. Hopefully I don't have to take them off, and wiggle this nut out of here. So let's get going, and then we'll see how this thing sounds, because I still like the look of this guitar. I still want to finish it. It does sound pretty good. Like this pickup here sounds pretty good. It does not in any way compare to my Fender Strat. I have a Player Plus. I have two Player Plus Strats, and the sound of this one versus the Strat's just not there. But part of the issue is it's out of tune. So I'm going to loosen these strings off here, and we'll see what we can come up with. Now, there's no instructions with the nut. It just comes in a bag. Okay, I've never installed one of these before. So this is going to be literally just winging it, figuring it out as we go along here. I've never actually installed a nut on a guitar, regardless of type, and there goes my E string. Because that's a good string too. I think that's my Fender Bullet. So what I'm finding is with the locking tuners on the smaller unwound strings, they can be fairly delicate, because if you tighten up too much on the string, on the tuner here, on the lock, I think what it's doing is it's crushing the string or putting a kink in it, and it's making it weaker. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to roll it through. I'm not going to, I'm just going to kind of string it the way I would a regular string, on a regular tuner, and not have it as tight. So not rely on the locking tuner, the peg there, as much as I've been doing. And this is one of these things where you're just learning as you go. String's no good now. I've got extras here, I hope. It's always the E string that breaks. So I've got lots of strings. Whether I got an E string or not, I don't know. But we'll find out. That can go there. So we should hopefully just be able to slide these strings out. Yep. Okay, so I don't have to take the strings off. I don't have to remove them. What I'm going to do with this is, when I practice my, playing in my garage out at the cottage or just mucking around, I'm going to mess around with this guitar, and I'm not too worried about, leaving it in a garage when it goes from, say, plus, say 80 degrees in daytime, and then goes down to 50 at night, where you have these huge temperature sweeps. I'm not too concerned if, the neck goes a little out of whack. I can always fix it, but I don't want to do that with one of my Fenders. So with this, using this tool here, just the claw grip, you can see here I've machined or ground these down here just so I can get a flatter surface. I did that a long time ago. But I'm just going to grip this and wiggle, see if I can break this. These are typically glued in, like crazy glue. See if I can break that free without, there you can kind of hear a crack in there. There. Oh. Okay, well, that is no good. Came off with the, so whether that's a rookie mistake or what, this neck is no good. So that brings this one. I've got this. I might just, if it's the right height, this should work. So this one here, just looking at the nut, I don't know if you can see here, it's got a gap between the nut and the board. So I don't know whether that can be there. Okay, so the nut's a little there. Okay, we can maybe tap that in a bit. And what we're going to do here is, I wouldn't do this on a Precious guitar, but okay. So I'm gonna have to unstring this, take the neck off, and start over here. Hopefully these line up. I don't know where I got this one from. This is off of one kit that I obviously am not using, but we'll mess around with that. I'll leave these. I'll make sure it works first, and then I'll probably change these tuners out. So, not what I was planning. I don't know of any way to fix that, and it's just not going to work. A little disappointed there. Whether that's my fault or quality of the guitar, who knows? But not what I was obviously wanting to do. So I'll get this done, get this thing ready, get this thing swapped out, and we'll catch back here and get a little bit more work done. The fun, the trials and tribulations of doing stuff yourself. You always run into this. So how do you deal with it in the end is longer. Now, to be clear here, I've got two. I've got one for this guitar and one for my Telecaster, because the Telecaster is kind of the same. It's high and it doesn't tune. So anyhow, we'll catch up in a bit. And yeah, hopefully we can make something out of this thing. Okay, so I got the new neck bolted on. I'm just going to change these tuners out. One thing that I did spend a lot of time on with this neck, which is somewhat discouraging, is I did spend a lot of time doing fret work on here. This one needs fret work, so I'm going to string this up. I'm going to use some cheap strings. I'm going to string it up, make sure it's playable, and if it is, strings are coming off, and then I'm going to do the fret work on this one here to get these frets up to snuff. I was really happy with the way these frets turned out, so that's kind of disappointing. I suppose I could fill that with some wood filler or something and sand it down and all that, but it'll just look like crap. So, but anyhow, I'm going to change these tuners out and get it strong, make sure it works, make sure it holds tune. I'm going to leave this nut in. If it doesn't work, then I'll swap that out with one of these ones here. because right now I'm afraid of breaking that too. And it might be just one of these things where if that works, I've got some spares here if I need them, and never hurts project down the road. So we'll catch up here in a bit. So just for reference, I guess, I got it all apart here. So that nut just slides on there. I would need crazy glue to hold that in. It's not the right contour for the neck because it sits high on both ends there. This other one, now I don't know whether that would make a difference. This would just make it sit too high altogether. This other one I have, where'd it go? Here it is. These are bought off Amazon. This one's got a Allen key, and you can raise and lower by that. Okay, and then this is the basic goes in here. Now this is okay, so this wouldn't fit anyhow because this is wider. This is wider than by about 1/8 of an inch, I'm gonna say, maybe 1/16 of an inch. Yeah, so that would mean having to file this down, so that's not a go. Anyhow, you live and learn with this stuff. I'm gonna set that there. Got a spare Allen key that I'll probably need because I'll lose the other one. Now I'm going to get these in and get these tuners installed, string it up, and then we go from there. So we'll catch up here in a couple minutes. Okay, so I got the new neck on, got the locking tuners on. Next problem I wound up with here, or came into, is the strings are cut too short. So what that essentially means is that the strings are further out here than they were in the other guitar. And the other neck, the neck is the same length, it's just these are drilled in different spots, the tuners are. So I gotta dump these strings and I'm gonna restring it. I've got some, I don't know who makes these, but I think they're D'Addarios. That's a full set. I'm gonna use these. I don't want to use I mean, if I can reuse those, great. I'm gonna certainly try, but I don't want to use a good set of like Fender strings until I know what I'm dealing with on this neck, because I want to make sure that the action's right and all that kind of good stuff. Then once all that's done, then we're gonna deal with the I'm going to deal with the nut here, and I already see the potential problem here is that this, on the low E string, it's fairly close to the fret board, to the fingerboard, so it might be a little tight on here, which might cause some problems. We'll deal with that when the time comes, and if that's the case, I'll just might have to use one of these other nuts here, like either the brass nut, if I can find them in this mess. Here we are. I'll either use this one or this one here, depending on fitment. And I have a feeling it's going to be the brass nuts what's going to do the trick here. Yeah, so let's get these strings out of here. Do this. We'll get these out. It's kind of important because these are good strings. Okay, so these ferrules are not in here tight. which I should probably glue them in, but I don't have any crazy glue handy at this point. So we're gonna get rid of these. I got so many strings kicking around here that I gotta do some cleaning. Anyhow, we'll roll them up, get this done, I'll get this restrung, and then we'll carry on once I got that. Once I see what we're dealing with here, and then we'll go from there. So catch up here in a couple minutes here. Well, it'll be instantaneous, but for me it'll be a couple minutes. So it looks like this good set of strings that I kept, I don't know why, they're too short as well. So these are obviously being used. I've cut them off and of no use. So I'm gonna go with this set here. Player's Circle, D'Addario. These are who knows. Typically what I'd buy are 9s, so 9 to 42s. I'm just gonna assume that's what they are. It's not gonna really matter all that much, so we'll get this cooking. Okay, we'll catch up here in a few minutes. There we go. All right, okay. Okay, so just got the E string on. You can see how close that is to the fret, but it is fret buzzing there pretty good. So in other words, as I said, that is too close, too low. It's almost as if the nut here is shifted down. Now I'm gonna change this out because this isn't gonna work. And I got one other neck here, but I don't like it. It's too fat. Like I don't like the feel of it. This one here has got a typical Strat contour to it. So yeah, so I'm gonna peel this out, and hopefully I don't screw this thing up. So I'll back this off. Should probably heat it up with a heat gun, but I don't have one, so we're gonna wing it here, and then we'll see whether that, I'm gonna use this one. We'll see whether this fits. Hopefully it fits without having to do any filing. There, okay, so that came off pretty easy. Put that back in there. Okay, so let's just try this. Well, there you go. Let's see how much gap we have on the fret from the string. I want about 4 thousandths of an inch. Let's see here. So what I'm going to do is just slide this under the string. It's not touching. Okay, this might be serviceable, so we're going to carry on. And I won't use the brass one. Maybe later, but not in this case. Okay, I'm going to continue restringing this thing, and we'll see where this takes us. Okay, so last string here, high E, low E, high E. And I'm winding these up as you would on if you're just using regular tuners. And I'm probably doing this a little bit more slack than I need, but basically running it tight, like full length, and then from the nut, I'm going back to 3 frets, and then I'll lock this in. That's probably going to be too much string there, but it doesn't matter at this point. I had them too short, so now I'm compensating on the other side, and that will. And then basically, doing this as you would with regular tuners, which is over once and then under to the final windings. And as you can see, I got a lot of string on here. So all that'll do is take a little bit of time for the strings to settle. It means you got to stretch them. But right now, I just want to see how this thing works. Okay, so that's on. I'm going to stretch them out here. Look, there are lots of stretching going on. Okay. Okay, now we'll tune her up and see where this goes. Okay, so I've got the intonation set as good as I can get it. The E string, this one here is kind of off a bit, but the action is a little high, so I'm going to lower the action. I'll go 1 turn on each screw here. And we'll see where that puts us. Again, I'll have to retune it. A little bit more there. Want a little bit of tension on that. There we go. So it's fairly straightforward. So I'm just going 1 turn on each just to keep everything equalized. And okay, this E string here is kind of lopsided. I think it's because I got too far back here, so it's not actually sitting on the set screw. So I'm going to move this forward. Just visually, okay, it looks good. Still kind of wobbly. now we're going to tune it. Okay, so I'm going to retune. Spark, here we go. What would you do without an iPhone or a phone? Okay, so let's take it quite a bit down. It's all good. Right on. It's a little sharp, but that's right on. I couldn't get that one on before. Okay, that's why here. Okay, so that'll do. Okay, now let's try this on another guitar. That I know is good. Put this one here. Just to compare. That to me sounds good. Quick change here. Well, I'm gonna give it a shot. I got a band practice this afternoon. I'm gonna take this with me. I'm gonna try it out, compare it to some real guitars. So, what I've learned is doing these guitars. I mean, it's fun. Believe me. Like, don't get me wrong, and I'm not going to discourage anybody from doing this. It's a good learning process on how to do guitar setups, how to overcome problems, doing it yourself as opposed to having to take it in and paying however much per hour to fix a relatively simple problem. There's really nothing super technical on these things. It's just the quality of the components and how you put it together. You'll never make a Gibson or a Fender out of one of these things, but you can make them sound pretty close. And the thing is, you did it, you built it. So I like this guitar. I want to make it work. I want to play it. Now, whether I'm going to play this live at a show or not, I don't know. But I might take it with me and give it a shot. Because overall, I like the sound of this thing. These guitars, the pickups here are pretty strong. Like, they're pretty heavy. Okay, that's it. I'll report back once I've got this thing played in a live situation, at least something to compare it to. So I'll catch up in a bit here. Okay, so I just got back from band practice, and I'm happy to say that this guitar plays pretty good. Holds tune, does the trick, the D works, and actually sounds pretty good. So it's a keeper. I spent a lot of time on the old neck doing the fret job and all that kind of stuff. Got them really nice and shiny and polished, and these are a little rough, but they're not that bad at this point. So I'm going to leave them for now. They're a little sharp on the sides here, but I'm going to leave these for now and come back when I put the flat black on here. I gotta take this all apart, and that's what I'm gonna do the frets. So until then, this is it. I'm playing this thing, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. So it's not a Fender, but it's not close to being a Fender, but it sounds pretty good. It plays decent. I think these are 10 to 42s, 10 to 42s. They're a little tougher on the fingers, but I'm gonna leave them. I'll leave everything as is and play her out that way. So stay tuned for more. Thanks for watching, and hit that subscribe button.